Welcome to CivilNet. My guest via Skype from Istanbul is Ergun Babahan. He is the former editor-in-chief of Sabah newspaper and he currently writes for T24. Ergun, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We are currently what most can call living in a crisis of the Islamic State, especially in the region. The attacks on Kobane, the town, the city on the border of Syria and Turkey has seen intense fighting. There has been U.S. airstrikes which now seem to have pushed back the IS temporarily as Kurdish forces fight with the IS forces there. The reason we asked you to talk with us today is to try and see what's going on in Turkey in the last several weeks. There have been protests, rallies, riots right across the country, especially in the southeastern portion, the Kurdish populated areas, Diyarbakir and so on. Is this the first time, or when was the last time that martial law was actually implemented in Turkey? Following these riots, we saw that the Turkish government used quite a heavy hand in trying to quell those riots and established martial law. Is this something that is concerning to Turkish citizens?
Of course, it's not just policies in Eastern Turkey. All policies against religious groups called Hizmet or Jamaat in Turkey, including legal preparations, changing the penalty code, and etc. They are making life in Turkey very difficult. Something like in Putin's Russia or the applications in China. It's becoming a crime even to put a tweet on Twitter if you are criticizing government or the president. So Turkey is becoming very repressive, very authoritarian system in terms of the repressive politics. When it comes to Kobane, as you know, they are the relatives of Kurds in the southern part of Turkey. It's very artificial border with Syria and Turkey. Unfortunately, in the 1920s, at the end of the First World War, some people left in Syria, some stayed in Turkey, and they used to have contact only during the religious festives. When ISIS attacked Kobane, Kurds living in Turkey and all secular people felt they are all humanity is under attack, because you know how ISIS treats people they occupy in Iraq, cutting heads, killing women, raping, selling them as slaves in market. But the government didn't care about it. It seems Turkish government follow a policy to cleaning Syrian border from Kurds and putting Syrian refugees who came to Turkey 2 or 3 years ago and creating a Sunni Arab neighborhood in southern part of Turkey. So trying to stop kind of an independent Kurdish entity on after northern Iraq. So it angered Kurds naturally and created a very dangerous atmosphere in Turkey. As a result, 45 people killed. Some people say it's 35 official numbers, but human rights group put it 45, 47.
Right. I mean, Turkey's policy with regard to IS has been ambiguous at best. We have seen other Arab nations joining forces to try to eradicate or to slow down the progress that ISIS or IS had been making in the region. I want to switch now, if we can, to the Kurdish question itself. Some Turkish state media have been playing with this idea that the situation in Turkey is not so much Turkish state against the Kurds, but that there are internal divisions inside the Kurdish community in Turkey between PKK and Hudapar, which is a more Sunni Islamic extremist grouping of Kurds. Is this something that is being played out by Turkey, or is this the reality on the ground right now?
This Hudapar group is an extension of Hizbullah group. It was an organization supported by the state in 90s, and it acted terribly against Kurds in the region killing Kurdish activists, etc. So when Kurds reacted Turkish policies towards Kobane, and President Erdogan declared that Kobane was about to fall, they took the streets, protested against Turkish government. But as you see, it's crowds can get lost control and get very angry, and they made a big mistake. They attacked everyone with a bird, and they told everyone religious is a part of ISIS and ISIS, and they killed 4 or 5 people in the region. So it was a kind of lynch movement against Hüdapar, unfortunately. But the rest was between Kurds and Turkish government policies. It's not Kurds fighting each other, but mostly Kurds trying to protest against Turkish government in very violent way.
As a citizen of Turkey, as a journalist, as somebody who is very much involved in the process, I want to ask you, the contentious relationship between the Kurds and the Turkish state over the last several decades, why should Turkey then come to the rescue of the Kurds in Kobane?
First of all, Kurds didn't ask Turkish state to come to their rescue in Kobane. All they asked was to open a humanitarian corridor from Turkey to Kobane, because ISIS are using very heavy weaponry, tanks, artillery, etc. And Kurds had only Kalashnikovs and simple weapons. They asked Turkey to let some fighters from northern Iraq to go to Kobane and help their brothers. But Turkey didn't allow them, and a few days later they closed down the border, and they want people from Kobane come to Turkey, completely empty the town from Kurds. It's kind of ethnic cleansing, and put there Sunni Arabs. That's the policy. They didn't ask for Turkish government to rescue them. They don't want Turkish military in Syria, actually in the Kurdish region. They see it as an occupation power.
Just as a second last question, if I may, if the Kurdish forces are able to completely retake Kobane, if the refugees that are now in Turkey are able to return, how will this fare for Turkey? How will this Kurdish victory in this city reflect on Turkey's position?
Turkey is in a very awkward position internationally. If we look at the policies of Turkey, they see the president say ISIS and PKK is the same thing. Also, the PAD in Syria is an extension of PKK. But United States government is supporting now Kurdish fighters in Kobane and having contact with them and planning to assist them militarily, arming them, maybe training them in the near future, because they are the most reliable forces in the field. They are only force that can fight against ISIS and stop them actually beating them. If you look at the rest of Iraq, they are losing everywhere, even with American bombardment. So when those people go back, they don't have very sympathetic view for Turkey. This also includes Barzani regime in Iraq. They also felt betrayed by Turkey. Iran was the first country to run for their help, sending them armory, weapons, military advisors, but Turkey just watched for a week for Kurds to lose their fight against ISIS. Maybe there will have been a kind of Sunni Arab domination in some part of Erbil and Kurdistan also.
Mm-hmm. And Ergun, just as a final question, sitting on the other side of the border, following international news, following Turkish news, actually following a lot of Kurdish Twitter users to see what the real situation is. What is Turkish public opinion today about Turkey's policies when it comes to IS, to the Islamic State?
I think people who vote for AKP, who side with AKP, who have very strong religious beliefs, are very sympathetic for ISIS. According to public surveys, 35% of people who vote for AKP look sympathetically to ISIS. They see the Sunni reaction against Shia dominance. But those people, let's say Kemalist people, secular part, hate them, also Kurds also. So Turkish society is very polarized about ISIS also. We are different bunch of people nowadays. Kemalists don't like ISIS, but they don't like Kurds either. It's same for AKP. It's same for Kurds. So Turkey is very dysfunctional society at the moment. I don't believe there is another society in the region now that much that has so many different opinions about certain policies.
Right. Well, Ergun Babahan, thank you so much for trying to help us understand what's going on. We will be hopefully talking with you again in the future weeks and months to try and understand a little bit more about what is taking place in Turkey and in the region.
Thank you.
And I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest was Ergun Babahan. He is a writer, a columnist, a journalist who currently writes for T24. Stay with CivilNet.